Hello horror hounds, tomorrow Universal kicks off its new dark universe with a new Mummy movie. We've already looked at 1932's classic starring Boris Karloff. We've had a look at Hammer's run at the Mummy material with Lee and Cushing. So next on the agenda is the 1999 Stephen Sommers written and directed The Mummy, commonly known as the Brendan Fraser one. First things first, I know this is a horror channel and I know this isn't a horror film, but it would be remiss of me to ignore this movie in the run-up to the new Mummy movie. And anyhow, really, if Abbott and Costello get to pal around with Universal's stable of classic monsters way before the 90s, way before Industrial Light and Magic, and way before the PG-13 certificate ever got its hands on material like this, who are we to begrudge this film for being as fun as it possibly can? Whilst I talk exclusively about horror movies on this channel, it's not like I don't like other kinds of movies, and I have a real soft spot for what I guess you might call the gung-ho action treasure hunting subgenres. So of course the first three Indiana Jones movies, heck, I've even got Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, heck, I've even got Romancing the Stone, I've even got Jewel of the Nile, and yes, I've got National Treasure. Hell yes, I've got National Treasure too. Look, let's cut to the chase. I've even got King Solomon's Mines. I've even got Alan Quatermain and the Lost City of Gold. So whilst this is more Lucasfilm than Boris Karloff, we'd already seen with the Hammer movie that they had really seriously upped the action. They upped the threat level of The Mummy to an extreme degree compared to the Boris Karloff version. This is just that jacked up on the 90s. Karis is out, Imhotep is back in, and you better believe this Mummy is not under anyone else's control through a healthy application of scrolls, Tanis leaves, or stern looks. And also in this one, Anck-su-namun, after a sumptuous prologue set 4,000 years in the past. I find it interesting that in the Universal movie, the flashback is right at the end of the movie. In the Hammer movie, it's right in the middle. And now in the 1999 version, we start with the prologue essentially in Thebes, city of the living. And Anck-su-namun is entirely complicit, for the first time really, in Imhotep's plans to resurrect her and fulfill the promise of their love. She's a partner in this plan rather than an object of desire. There's no sense that the romance that we're told is a love is just descended over the millennia into some sort of creepy obsession. Imhotep, upon his resurrection, in attempting to resurrect Anck-su-namun, is fulfilling a promise he made to her right at the start of the movie. And Evie, Evelyn, Rachel Weisz's character, has something to bring to the table in this version. She's got her book smarts, which eventually save the day. Alright, they caused the problem in the first place, but they save the day at the end of the day as well. She's not just, as in the 1932 version, the reincarnation of Anck-su-namun to be fought over by a lover from the past and a lover from the present. And she's certainly not as bad as Isabel in the Hammer movie, who's a peripheral wifey character, barely in the movie until the movie notices that she bears a striking resemblance to Ananka, Karis's long-lost love. No. Anck-su-namun is complicit in the plan in the past, and Evelyn is part of the team in the present. All of these things are good in my house of horror. The whole thing takes place in Egypt. The whole thing takes place in Egypt. If you've watched my review of the Hammer Mummy from '59, you'll know that I wasn't jumping for joy when the movie moved back to England. I felt it was a bit safe. I wanted the exoticism of the 1932 movie. And certainly here, there's more sand in this movie than there is in either of the first two put together. We're out in the desert, we're with lost cities, we're raiding tombs, we've got desert warriors, we've got treasure hunters. This is what I want from a mummy movie. Now, I'm aware the movie's cheesy. I'm aware the movie is goofy. It's just that when I put it on and give it 5 minutes of my time, I don't care. I'm along for the ride. It's impossible for me, really honestly, as a horror channel, to compare and contrast it to the Karloff version and the Hammer version, because this is a bubblegum roller coaster ride, whereas those two were bona fide horror movies. But I think you can see through the evolution from Karloff to Christopher Lee through now to Arnold Vosloo where we're going with this, where we have to have more spectacle, more action. This movie was really sold on its computer generated graphics. Everyone talks now about the breakthrough movies being Jurassic Park makes the top of the list, Terminator 2. People kind of forget that it was movies like this and Independence Day that were really pushing the boat out with CG. That is the element that has aged the worst. Let me be clear. The CG in this is rubbish. The thing is, and I only rewatched this a couple of nights ago, once you buckle in for the ride, it kind of doesn't matter. Much less so, it matters much less so than other movies I watch where the CGI has aged terribly. Maybe it's because those bad CGI movies, or let's call it early CGI movies, took themselves a bit more seriously, or a bit more po-faced, so it's kind of hard to invest. This one, as I said earlier, it's such a bubblegum popcorn roller coaster ride that it's kind of all part of the fun. I'm going to go and watch the new Mummy movie tomorrow, and I'll let you know what I think. I've not read any reviews of it. I've just seen the trailers that we've all seen. My suspicion is that this evolution of the Mummy won't continue in a straight line. I don't think this will be bigger, bad action. I don't think this is going to be a Mission Impossible movie. I don't think it's going to be Mummy Impossible. I think there's going to be big action. I think there's going to be broad epic scope, more so even than 1999, because this is where you have to go when you're making movies for hundreds of millions of dollars now. I think they're going to put in, or try and put in, some elements of creep from the Karloff version, some elements of horror from the Hammer version. This is my hope. I think it's going to be a weird melange of kind of the history of mummy movies, but we'll see. Certainly Universal were dying to get the Mummy property back in front of audiences for years before this movie came along. Most intriguingly, before Joe Dante got involved, before George Romero was approached, one of the tantalising, what could have been alternate Hollywood histories was Clive Barker working on the project for it to be specifically a low-budget horror movie. That is something ideally would have loved to have seen. But as horror fans, we all know now that horror movies don't get made in that way anymore. They're mainly indie movies. They're mainly really low-budget movies that turn a profit because they're so low budget. Even now, when you get an unexpected horror hit, it becomes a franchise. Or at least the pressure is there for it to become. How many sinister movies did we really need? What chapter of Insidious are we up to now? And did we really need... I did a marathon of Paranormal Activity movies, and I've lost count of how many there were. Is it about 7? Really? These days, unfortunately, straight up horror movies are ignored until they're a hit, and then they're squeezed for everything they're worth. So if Universal's Dark Universe can find some middle ground, and I'm still not completely sold on the concept, if they can find some middle ground and at least bring these horror elements back to a big screen audience, then there might be some value in that. Until that time, and we won't know how The Mummy performs just yet, love it or loathe it, this was a runaway success. This approach, spawned The Mummy Returns, The Mummy, the animated series, The Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor, The Scorpion King 2, Rise of a Warrior, Scorpion King 3, Battle for Redemption, and Scorpion King 4, Quest for Power. I didn't know there were 4 Scorpion King movies until I did a little bit of research into this. This is the kind of stuff that Universal are hoping that they can have again. Another bite at the cherry. I'm just hoping that they don't forget their horror roots while they're doing it. I make no bones about how much I love this movie, and I don't really care what it does to my horror cred. I'm also acutely aware that my opinion is just one turd floating in a swimming pool that was long since evacuated by thousands of other bowel movements. And with that in mind, I like to try and bring you alternate viewpoints from Internet Movie Database reviewers. We're going to start off with Tad Mallory. I like that, he sounds like a Stephen King character. Tad Mallory with his review entitled Lame. Encino Man Part 2, Brendan Fraser helps to reawaken an ancient person only to subject the world to some strange happenings. Lame. And channel favourite, Jacob John Taylor 1, calls this one of the best remakes ever. This is a great movie. The 1932 version was a great movie, but this is better. The Mummy Returns is better, but still, this is a great movie. This is one of the scariest movies made before 2001. This is a great movie. It is very scary. It has a lot of action. It has a great storyline. It also has great acting. It also has great special effects. This movie is scarier than The Exorcist. This is one of the scariest movies from 90s. See this movie. It is about a mummy that is resurrected from the dead. Very scary. All the Mummy movies are must-sees. Arnold Vosloo is a great actor. Brendan Fraser is a great actor. Stephen Sommers is a great director. See this awesome movie.